We got no mic.
Happy New Year. Councilor Katz-Koris.
Yes, sir.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Mr. Chair, if we can get your mic on, please.
All right. Better?
Yes,
All right,
thank
roll
you.
call. Councilor Chiricello.
Good evening.
Councilor Spencer.
Good evening.
Councilor Katz-Koris.
Good evening.
Councilor Flood.
Hello.
Councilor Canesi.
Good evening.
Councilor McEachern.
Good evening.
Good evening from the chair and the town administrator and Madam Town Clerk. Good evening. Do we have a
Make a
motion?
motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion to open public forum by Councilor McEachern, second by Councilor Katz-Koris. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing, public forum is now open.
Look of all.
If you wish to speak, please come up and do so. State your name and address for the record.
All right, Steve Trefethan, property owner, business owner in Derry, and an Exit 4A property owner. And that's what I'm here. I'm going to go through this as quick as I can for you. So now the state, we have 9 buildings off the Exit 4A, 4 are outbuildings, 5 are income buildings. They took 8 of them, they left 1. And then, of course, for the state reps that are here, when there's a taking, they also kind of foreclose on the mortgages. So if they take it, I was under the impression that you would maybe get the money for the mortgage, you pay the mortgage off. They don't do that. They just kind of foreclose. And now, of course, the bank wants to know, hey, what are you going to do? You have only land, no buildings, right? So anyway, they left us 1. And the state was nice enough to take our display from us and not give it back to us. They won't let us use it. And then they were really nice enough to shut our water off to our building, and they don't care. So I'm working with the town. Hopefully we can get water or something to our building. But there's a few things going on. What I did find out so far, and I'm looking into it heavily, is that, in my opinion, the state doesn't have the necessity for the highway because of what they're doing to Derry. Okay? I don't think they meet necessity. Surely the special committee didn't know about a lot of things that are going on now when they voted for this at that final public hearing, and we're going to show that. In my opinion, with Derry getting no economic development, there's only 9 lots. I understand the police station's not even happy with them right now, but with those 9 lots that are left to develop, the first 3 or 4, whatever they were, those small houses. Now I have another piece of property over there. I met with a state lady today. She said they're taking like 80 to 100 feet of the guy's driveway. That means there's nothing left there. And then there's a 3/4 lot. There's a full lot like mine, a small one, not wide, but they're putting a drainage canal there, so there goes 30 feet of that. And then there's mine, which is developable. I showed you guys a 40,000-foot plan. They don't want to give up no land. They want to hold it. They don't care. 10-year easement. 80 North High Street, you can't do anything off the brook because of all the salt and everything, and Madden Road is gone because Madden Road's gone. Now there's a little bit of American excavating and stuff. We get nothing. But what I did find out, and there's a lot of things going on here, is that just so you'll know, I'm going to be looking into this and bringing more of this, and you're going to hear a lot more. The state's going to hear a lot more from me, but for the counselors, I think what I did find out, there was 202 communications with Woodmont Acres. I believe that this thing was going on, this development is basically to benefit Woodmont Acres, and we're getting nothing today as it stands. I'm going to try to get us something. I'm going to do everything I can, and I'll keep you posted as it goes along, but it's not a pretty picture right now from us as far as developing right off the highway where we all want to develop. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing none rising online, Mr. Chair.
No.
Mr. Chair, for your awareness, we do have some attendees that are remote who have dialed in. We might want to remind them, if they do wish to raise their hand, they press *9.
Okay,
You got it.
you just did. If you're listening to the meeting, you wish to speak, *9 to raise your hand, and Owen will let us know. Mr. Carden, good evening.
That's okay. Good evening, councilors. Good evening, Madam Clerk.
I'm here to, Tom Carden, 2 Cunningham Drive, I'm sorry. I just want to follow up on the 10-year easement that Steve was talking about and some of those properties back there. You know, the whole purpose of the 4A project was for economic development. And obviously over the years that a lot of that property back there has been developed, and there's very little development when Woodmont has 629 acres of land to develop. And, you know, I mean, not only that, the state has taken away $5 million worth of assessed value from properties for dairy that, you know, we're not getting tax money from. And, you know, I would think after 30 years that I would be not surprised by anything on 4A, but, you know, I still continue to be. And, you know, I mean, you know, the rail trail and, you know, the fact that we're not getting the tunnel, there's going to be 7 lanes of traffic out there by the police station instead of 5. And I think dairy is really being taken advantage of by the DOT. And, you know, I really hope that you look into what can be done to get that land developed so that we can at least get some land back on the tax rolls. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Owen, anyone?
Still seeing none online, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no one rise, I'm going to motion to close the public forum.
Motion to close, seconded by Council Council Spencer. All in favor of close?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public forum is now closed. Consent agenda, we have 24-01, approved non-public minutes from December 19th, 2023. Those minutes are sealed. We have 24-02, approved minutes from December 19th, 2023. And we have agenda item 24-03, resignation from the Highway Safety Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilor McEachern, second by Councilor Spencer to accept the consent agenda. Councilor Churchill.
Yes.
Councilor Spencer.
Yes.
Councilor Katsoukaris.
Yes.
Councilor Flood.
Yes.
Councilor Granessi.
Yes.
Councilor McEachern.
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. 7-0. Chair report. We will have the town clerk, Tina Guilford, come up and present about the presidential primary preparation.
So, good evening. Planning has been underway for the presidential primary. We are getting ready. We are still looking for poll workers. If anyone wants to volunteer or sign up to work, you can sign up right on the town website. But what I'm here today to show is our traffic map. Obviously, traffic is the big topic of conversation when it comes to elections. So we are going to try to do what we can to mitigate traffic. How is that going to look? Well, we're going to have traffic. I think it's just a given at this point. We have traffic every day, even when we're not voting. So basically coming up from the Rotary at the intersection of Nesmith and Pinkerton Street, that will be an entrance only towards Pinkerton. And when you go up that way, you'll be going right into the senior lot at Pinkerton. That is one way in. Your other way in is off of Chenille Road on the back road, where Pinkerton Academy has built an access road there. So that is your other way in. Everyone is going to come in on these 2 paths. They all feed into the senior lot. From there, if you have a handicap placard or you have a handicap plate, you will be able to go through the senior lot directly across to the parking lot in front of Hackler Gymnasium where the handicap parking is. Only those with a handicap parking plate or placard will be allowed through there. So please plan accordingly. And then everyone will exit straight up the bypass towards Chenille Road, where you'll be able to go, whichever way you'd like to go. You won't be able to go back towards the Rotary. Polling opens at 7 a.m., closes at 8 p.m. Lining up at 5 a.m. is probably just going to cause more traffic, but if that's what you want to do, you do you, I guess. If you can avoid the Rotary, do so. I know plenty of people in this town that drive around every day and never go through the damn fourth circle. They call it the circle of hell. And some days it feels like that. So if you can avoid the Rotary to go to 93, to go on to 102, to go wherever you need to go, this is the day to practice avoiding the Rotary. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell residents in other towns. We will be putting out some electric signage as a reminder as we get closer to, if you're not voting, try to stay off the Rotary. I know people will forget. Much like 2020, I'm expecting that traffic will be worse in the morning, but then better in the afternoon, because everybody remembered on the way home, but they forgot in the morning. So we will try to do our best to remind residents as much as possible. There will be a code red call a few days before the election as a reminder for those that have signed up. We'll put notices on the website. It'll be out on social media, on the fire department site, on the police department site. We'll be putting some information in the paper. We'll be doing our best to get the word out that this is the flow of traffic, and if you could assist us with this flow of traffic, we would greatly appreciate it. And absentee ballots are available for anyone who cannot go to the polls on Election Day. If you're not going to be in town, you're not going to be around, if you have a disability, the ballots are available. They're available in my office from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can download the application online. You can bring it in, and we can give you your ballot. You can vote it here. We had people all day today voting downstairs. You can email it to us, and we can mail you the ballot. There are lots of different ways. If you don't have a printer, give us a call. The sooner the better. We can mail the form to your home so you can fill it out and get it back to us. Any way that you can possibly do it. If you want to be a verified absentee voter, just show us your ID. We're happy to look at it and mark you as a verified voter. So if there are any questions?
Yeah, go ahead. So the entrance on Shenito,
Yes,
is going to be a police officer there?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
And there will be a police officer where you're turning in on the bypass. There'll be an officer where they're exiting on the bypass. There'll be an officer at the intersection of Shenito and the bypass.
Okay.
Yep, PD has that covered. We'll have electronic message boards out as well to assist. We're looking into getting some from the state and from some other methods so that we have additional message boards out all over town.
Cool, thank you.
Good job.
Excellent.
Anyone else?
Nope, great.
Questions?
No,
All right.
good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So in the consent agenda, we accepted resignation from the Highway Safety Committee. We have someone who's interested to just fill out that short term. So with that, I would move to appoint James Roddy to the Highway Safety Committee, term expiring March 31st, 2024.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. On the motion, Counsel Chiricello.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Counsel Katz-Corris.
Yes.
Counsel Flood.
Yes.
Counsel Ganesi.
Yes.
Counsel McEachern.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 7-0. Mr. Karen.
Thank you. This evening, we have an update on the solar project at landfill. We have our Director of Public Works, Mike Fowler, Jeff Moulton from Net Zero Task Force, and Representative Derry Solar LLC. Mike?
Good evening. Thank you for the introduction, Dave. Tonight, what we wanted to do is to give the town council a briefing on the status of the landfill project. As many of you recall, the town net zero committee have spent a lot of time developing a request for proposals, and we had reached a contract status with Encore Renewables of Burlington, Vermont. I'd like to also bring up from Encore, I have Rob Greer and Katie Hines. I'll invite them up here in just a moment to go through their update on this. But basically, we're excited to be moving forward on this project. This was something that's been hatched over a number of years, and now we're approaching the end of the permitting, and now we'll be moving into the construction phase in 2024. Still looking to deliver all the goals that have been stated in the past about sustainable cost savings for the town over a 25-year contract. As you recall, this project will be going on the town's capped landfill off of Kendall Pond Road, and it will be using approximately 10 acres of land that formerly or currently is unusable land. And so this is a great synergy of use that'll be a benefit for the town and ultimately the town's taxpayers. So with no further ado, I'll bring up Rob Greer and Katie Hines to provide some additional information as to where the status of this project is as of January 2024.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you.
All right, well, I'll start here. I'm Rob Greer, and I do business development with Encore Renewable Energy. We have Katie that does development, and so I'm really on the early stages of the project, making sure everything looks good from interconnection to land, and Katie really helps get the permits done and move on the project, so you know a little bit about our background. And if, would there be a presentation to be shared or none up on the screen?
We don't have one.
Nope, okay. All right, so then the updates that I'll be going over is that we are at a point where we've really gotten most of the milestones completed for the project. Katie will end up covering really where we are with the schedule, what we've gotten done. And we're at a point of the project where it's just like what we've seen in costs for everything, from the cost of bread, cost of milk, everything. You take that and you really magnify it. We've certainly seen from some very large price increases in equipment, in the steel pricing, all that. And so it's, as Mike was saying in the beginning about moving towards this project, we're seeing some of these costs even continue to rise. And so we're really remaining committed. We have most of the steps done here. And Katie can talk a little bit about some of those specific steps, both for interconnection and permitting that we have done at this point, and then what we have planned throughout the rest of this year.
Yep. So our schedule initially had us breaking ground in, I think, November of 2023, and we ran into some schedule constraints, primarily on the interconnection side. We finally received our last interconnection study from Eversource in Q4, and it's very difficult to purchase electrical equipment until the electrical utility gets back to you on what equipment they want you to install. And those timelines, once ordered, look like anywhere from 4 to 10 months from ordering to delivery. So we are looking to start construction in the spring as soon as it's safe to be on the landfill with our equipment. Landfills typically take a little bit longer for it to not be super muddy once the snow melts, just because of the methane and the heat in the landfill. So we're looking to start construction in May, and then if we order all of our equipment in the next couple of months, then we can get everything in by the fall, and then we'll be up and running and powering the wastewater treatment plant, and formally be in our lease agreement and power purchase agreement with the town of Derry.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah. Questions?
No, sounds like good progress.
Comments?
Yeah, I have some comments.
Councilor Churchill.
I heard a couple of buzzwords that I'm interested in. You mentioned additional costs, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about those, because my understanding is we have a contract. So I don't get the additional cost factor.
Sure, yeah. So the reason I bring it up is when we look at the equipment itself, so we have the solar panels, and then we also have the racking. And I think it's important to be transparent about that because we're at a stage where not only is it unforeseen and higher, but we're also trending upwards again, at least in steel pricing. It came down from its initial point. And so what that means is we're going over this with the town to explain where we're at. And then there's not only those hard costs and equipment, but there's also the cost for the financing too. And since the interest rates have gone up over a lot in the past couple of years. And so the intent is that we're really being transparent about that with the town and working with them as we need to move along to keep the project from getting to a worse state from a financial perspective.
Okay, so speaking from myself, this counselor here would like to basically review the contract again to see what's in it. I don't like to hear that we could have potentially more increased costs down the road, because my understanding is we had a contract, and I don't know how that will affect the taxpayers, whether they pay more, they don't pay more. I don't know what that is. So there's a lot of question marks for me right now. I'm going to have to, Mike, I'm sure you've got a copy of the contract that we signed, so I want to see that. Right. I get the fact that things cost more, but I mean, that's what contracts are basically for. And to me, we did an RFP to go out, right, out the bid. So to me, I'm just being transparent and honest here with you guys. You know, hearing after the fact that we have a contract that there's additional costs almost feels like that's not fair to the RFP process and other companies that may have bid. So I've got a lot of question marks and stuff I need to dive into, but I appreciate your report.
Absolutely, yeah, we definitely hear you, and yeah, happy to be here and answer questions before and after.
Anyone else? Council Spencer.
Thank you. Can you speak, we're kind of talking in big generalities. Do you have any more specifics both on what you're looking at as far as increased cost to us, as well as how that would impact our savings down the road?
Sure. Yeah, we're in talks with the town about that. I think the important comparison is to show there's the price to the town for the electricity with solar, and then there's versus the other options. And the two other options would be a competitive supply rate or working with Eversource, which, as we saw, the rates for that were extremely volatile. So we are we're looking at those savings numbers of what we had presented before and like what it's at right now too.
Okay, so you don't have an idea of actual numbers for us? Like, what are we looking at? Are you asking us to change our number we owe you? Or are you looking at a percentage of increase, or do we have any of that yet, or you're just still discussing?
That's where we're still discussing with the town.
Another one, some of this is not my expertise. This is coming from some of my folks that know a little more than me about this stuff. So, but it kind of indicating equipment costs have risen, which makes sense. I understand that part. But also, would you also see some of kind of savings on the efficiency side, given solar panels have more capacity than they maybe did a few years back? Or do you see
that is true. Because a few years have passed and even the interconnection studies have taken a year and a half. And yes, so we are looking at more efficient solar panels, which therefore means higher kilowatt production, which means more savings. So that is, I think when I looked at it, it was around a 10 to 15% increase in the amount of solar production. So certainly that's just an inherent highlight from newer technology.
There was one other one I definitely had in my heart. So when we talk about the savings, would you be, again, to Council Chair Charles' point, in addition to looking at the contract and things like that, what would we, I don't know if you have it right now, but something I would want to see would be, what would the savings be to the town, kind of without the extra production, and kind of so we can look at things kind of to be able to compare back to baseline.
Yeah, we're happy to run scenarios and schedules and where we were and where we are now, more than happy to.
Okay. And I guess, I'm sorry, may I have one more?
Floor is yours.
The last question is, some of this, when we signed, certainly bond rates were kind of around 2.25, something like that. They're up around 4. Some forecasts say they will drop down.
Right, yeah.
Is part of kind of what you maybe were proposing. I know one of the things being discussed is an escalator, an escalation thing, escalator of that price. Potentially, if do go down that road and talk that route of that, being willing that if those prices do end up coming back down to talk about eliminating that cost or bringing those costs back down, actually in line with what we're seeing as we move forward. Would that be something, I guess, to consider?
We would certainly converse about it, yes.
Okay, that's it for now.
Anyone else? Councilman McEachern?
Could you just make sure we get a copy of that contract? I think that was signed before my time. I'd like to
sure.
review it. Just see what's in it, and then obviously the questions that were previously asked, probably better to set up another meeting to review these things. That's it.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, a couple of notes. Reminder the council, we have a non-public session next Wednesday at 4:30 PM here at the Municipal Center. Mark Fleischer, our CFO, has begun the FY25 budget process, first with a capital improvements plan. We are scheduled to present that to the planning board in February, so we'll be giving the council a draft copy, I suspect, during the first meeting in February. And also, we'll have to look at revising our traditional budget review schedule a bit, since we now share the room with the school board. So we won't, the off Tuesdays won't be available to us. Just keep that in mind, what works for you folks. A couple councilors said maybe a Saturday marathon session. So, I mean, whatever you want to do, just let us
Bring
know.
back the old
The old
days.
da-
I'm in. I'm in.
With lunch over there, and
Lunch over there, pizza, I'm in.
the only thing is we won't have green tuna fish from Frank.
That's true. Just miss that this time.
Wednesday the 10th, 4:30.
We could do Saturday, 4-hour stint.
4:30?
Yeah.
4:30.
Next 4:30.
Not public.
4:30. 16:30.
I'm all set with the Saturday if you want to do it.
Yeah. It's just in the morning, we get some donuts and coffee. Do 4 hours, we're out by
Bring
noon.
coffee, I just heard it. Brian's bringing donuts and coffee.
All right, so well, obviously, just let me know so I can let the town administrator know what moving forward as we approach.
Okay.
Give him some ideas and some options. Good.
Sure. And finally, Tina's been tracking legislation which has an impact upon municipalities. So I suspect we'll return to the council probably beginning of the next meeting with some bills which the council ought to support and definitely should request our legislatures to kill, because there's a number of those bills that have a significant cost factor to us. So we'll keep the council apprised as we go through that process. That's all I had this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have a public hearing, 23-130, Resolution 2023-083, relative to a supplemental resolution for the wastewater main pumping station project.
Move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Okay.
We have to hear from him.
Yeah,
Then we do it.
we'll hold off on that for a second. All right. Well, we can open it now. He can still. It's all right. So we have a motion to open public hearing, seconded by Councilor McEachern. On the motion, Councilor Churchill?
Yes.
Councilor Spencer?
Yes.
Councilor Katsouris?
Yes.
Councilor Flood?
Yes.
Councilor Grassi?
Yes.
Councilor McEachern?
That's Tommy, okay.
And the chair votes yes. Public hearing is now open. Deputy DPW Director Tom Carrier. Good evening.
Good evening, councilors. Tonight, we're here to request a supplemental appropriation from the wastewater unrestricted fund balance in the amount of $114,434, the purpose of which is to bridge a funding gap for a project at the wastewater treatment plant for improvements to the main pumping station infrastructure. In March of 2022, the council approved this project. They appropriated $471,000 from the unrestricted fund balance in wastewater toward the project and authorized us to apply for a $129,000 ARPA grant. Gave us a project budget of $600,000. The project includes structural improvements to the pump station, concrete work, brickwork, roof decking, louvers, electrical work, etc. The The original appropriation was based on construction costs from 2021. We opened bids on December 7th. So the actual bids range from the low bid of $547,180 up to $1.1 million. So the low bid was still $104,000, a little over $104,000 over our original project estimate from 2021. In addition to the cost increase, we had originally been authorized to apply for $129,000 ARPA grant. The final grant approval was only $117,180. So that left us an $11,254 shortfall. So the overall project now stands at $703,180. And you deduct the ARPA grant funding of $117,746, leaves us with the $114,434 shortfall. We have sufficient funds in the unrestricted fund balance. It was last audit, I believe, is around $2.6 million. We strongly recommend the council approve the additional funding. These are very necessary improvements. This is the pump station that takes all of the wastewater from the collection system and pumps it up to the wastewater treatment plant. Thank you.
Okay. Owen, do we have anyone,
Seeing no one rise, Mr. Chair, online.
public wish to speak?
Mr. Chairman, seeing no one jumping to the forefront, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to close public hearing by Council McEachran, second by Council Katz-Corus. On the motion, Council Cherichello.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Council Katz-Corus.
Yes.
Council Flood.
Yes.
Council Ganesi.
Yes.
Council McEachran.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Public hearing is now closed on this matter. Councilors, questions, comments?
Nope, very clear, Tom.
Very
Yeah,
good job.
Good
It is what it
presentation
is.
and
Yeah,
understood.
yep, no question.
And we have the funds, so.
Good job.
So, resolution.
Oh, time to read the resolution. Resolution 2023-83, to approve the supplemental appropriation for the wastewater treatment pump station project. Whereas the town charter establishes the town council as the appropriating authority of the town, and as such is empowered by section 9(6) of the charter to make supplemental appropriations after the annual budget is adopted, and whereas the town council pursuant to resolution 2022-22
Yeah.
funded repairs to the wastewater treatment plant's main influent pumping station, and whereas the town recently received bids to complete the work, which bids exceed the funds previously appropriated, and whereas the ARPA grant anticipated through the State Department of Environmental Services was less than budgeted, and whereas the town's wastewater fund has adequate fund balance from which resources can be used to complete the project, now therefore be it resolved in council that the sum of $114,434 be appropriated from the wastewater fund balance for the project. Resolution to take effect, adopted by 2/3 majority of the entire council as required by the charter, shall take effect immediately.
Second.
Okay, motion by Council McEachran, second by Council Katz-Corus. On the motion, Council Cherichello.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Council Katz-Corus.
Yes.
Council Flood.
Yes.
Council Ganesi.
Yes.
Council McEachran.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you,
Tom. Moving on to new business, 24-04, Resolution 2024-001, to authorize the town to apply, receive, and expend a grant from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services for milfoil treatment. DPW Director Mike Fowler. Good evening, Mike.
Okay, good evening again. So there's two actions under new business. I know you'll take them one at a time, but it's the same staff report. So I'll read this staff report or talk about that, answer questions, and then obviously there's two separate motions based on where the funds will be coming from. So as many of you are aware, the town and the Beaver Lake Improvement Association and New Hampshire DES have forged a partnership to continue milfoil treatment on Beaver Lake. And obviously everybody's aware of the gem of the lake and the cleanliness of it and all the good things that it brings to the community. So for the last quite a few years, there's been activity generally in the summertime to do a number of different treatments. Sometimes they send divers down, sometimes there's herbicide that's put into the lake. It's all monitored by New Hampshire DES approved contractor. And basically what's done is the town applies for, as the agent for funds from DES. We contribute a portion, and then the Beaver Lake Improvement Association also provides us with some additional funds. So basically, when this is all said and done, BLIA will be looking to provide $3,000 or up to $3,000, depending on how the shares pull out. And then the town will be earmarking up to $6,000, and the state will be taking care of the remainder of that at about a 40% match. So there's three sources of funding that come into play here. But as we've done in years past, we want to continue this program, and tonight's actions will be to authorize us to move forward with the application and then also accept those grant funds from both the DES and also from BLIA. So with that, any questions, I'll certainly be happy to answer those, but the resolution 2024, 001, and 002 represent both the sources of funding.
Questions?
This has been going on for a while. I can remember this in my last round doing this with you, Michael.
Yep, exactly.
I just had a question unrelated to Beaver Lake, but what about the other bodies of water in town? Is there any issues, like what happens with all that?
Yeah, so we're not aware of any specific, to Island Pond, but we are going forward on a study. I was here about a year ago. We were successful recipients of two $100,000 planning grants for Island Pond to look at phosphorus loading, to look at other means to keep Island Pond healthy. We also have a similar effort going on, another $100,000 grant to look at Hood Pond as well. So we do take a look at the various impairments, if there are any, on the various lakes. But I would say that BLIA and Big Island Pond Corporation have established associations. We have good partnerships with them, and they're the most active in terms of advocating for the health of their lakes and ponds.
Okay.
Same thing for Scobie?
We don't have as much on Rainbow Lake in that area there. Those are the two main ones, are Island Pond and Beaver Lake, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, I can read both resolutions. I'll start with Resolution 24-001, to authorize the town to apply, receive, and expend a grant from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services for milfoil treatment. Whereas Section 5.1 of the Town Charter designates the Town Council as the governing and legislative body of the town, and whereas 915 of the Charter authorizes the Town Council to accept grant funding, and whereas milfoil is an invasive aquatic weed which has been introduced to Beaver Lake, and whereas left untreated, milfoil will continue to grow, damaging the lake and potentially negatively impacting property values, and whereas in the best interest of Beaver Lake Improvement Association and the town to eradicate milfoil from Beaver Lake, now therefore be it resolved in council that the town administrator is hereby authorized to accept, apply, and expend up to $8,815 in grant funds from the Department of Environmental Services, and to execute all necessary documents to provide for milfoil treatment at Beaver Lake. Resolution shall take effect immediately upon its passage.
Second.
Okay, motion by Council McGuckin, second by Council Katsoukaris. Council Chercello?
Yes.
Council Spencer?
Yes.
Council Katsoukaris?
Yes.
Council Flood?
Yes.
Council Granessi?
Yes.
Council McGuckin?
Yes.
The chair votes yes, motion passes 7-0.
Chairman, motion 2024-02, as noted by Tom, is motioned by, not Tom, Mike. Similar to 001, I'll just read this one. Whereas Section 5.1 of the Town Charter designates the Town Council as the governing and legislative body of the town, whereas 915 of the Town Charter authorizes the Town Council to accept grant funding, whereas milfoil is an invasive aquatic weed which has been introduced to Beaver Lake, and whereas left untreated, milfoil will continue to grow, damaging the lake and potentially negatively impacting property values, and whereas it's in the best interest of the Beaver Lake Improvement Association and the town of Derry to eradicate milfoil from Beaver Lake, now therefore be resolved in council that the town administrator is hereby authorized to accept, expend up to $3,000 from the Beaver Lake Improvement to provide for milfoil treatment on Beaver Lake. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its passage.
Second.
Motion by Council McGuckin, second by Council Katsoukaris. On the motion, Council Chercello?
Yes.
Council Spencer?
Yes.
Council Katsouris?
Yes.
Council Flood?
Yes.
Council Canesi?
Yes.
Council McEachran?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 7-0. Thank you, Mike.
Not going anywhere, so here for
Going to
two
next
more.
one. 24-06,
Really,
resolution
you want to keep rolling these dice?
You know what? We'll keep rolling.
2024-003 to apply for and accept grant funding related to household hazardous waste collection.
No, these are all good ones. These are grants we're taking in, so it's good for us. All right, so on the next agenda item, wanted to present a grant authorization for our annual Household Hazardous Waste Day. So as everybody knows, probably as a public service announcement, the town of Derry has an annual event at West Running Brook School. It's usually the second or third Saturday in May. We haven't determined the date for 2024 as of yet, but we'll be making preparations for that. And then there's a reciprocal event with Londonderry that Derry can go to. That's usually in mid to late November. Again, the specific date will be posted well in advance of that date. So essentially, the way that this process works is the town hosts the date. We have anywhere between 200 to 400 visits that come in. We have a number of different items that we collect that day that normally would not be accepted at our transfer station and shouldn't be put in the normal waste stream. So fertilizers, pesticides, oil-based paints, there's a list on the website, so I won't bother going through all of those. But we've supported this event, and DES has a formula that they provide grants to communities. It's a higher formula if you partner with a community, and we've done so with Londonderry for at least 20 years. So the formula grant would be permitting us up to about $10,000 in the fiscal 25. So actually what we're applying for isn't this year's event in 2024. This would actually be for the May 2025 event. So this is actually 1 year and 4 months out from now. So just want to get this in line, take advantage of this grant opportunity, and with such, there's a resolution written to reflect that.
Questions?
Always a fun day. Get there early and enjoy the line, right?
Yes.
So resolution 2024-003 to apply for and accept grant funding related to household hazardous waste collection. Whereas section 915 of the town charter authorizes the town council to apply for, accept, and expend funds received from the state. And whereas the town annually has hosted a household hazardous waste collection day to provide residents with a convenient and safe method by which to dispose of household hazardous waste. Whereas matching grant funding from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services is available in the town to help defray expenses associated with this program, now therefore be it resolved in council that the town administrator is hereby authorized to sign grant applications and agreements with New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services for no more than $10,000 in matching funds, and further authorize the town to hold the hazardous waste collection event in the spring of 2025. The resolution shall take effect immediately upon its passage.
Second.
Motion from Council McEachran, second by Council Katsouris. Council Cherichello?
Yes.
Council Spencer?
Yes.
Council Katsouris?
Yes.
Council Flood?
Yes.
Council Canesi?
Yes.
Council McEachran?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion passes 7-0.
And I guess since he's on a roll, he's now going for the big
All
one,
right,
right?
so-
Going for the big one.
Going for the big one now, huh?
24-07.
Do all the fun stuff first and do the big one last.
Resolution 2024-004, transfer of funds from the Highway Division Bridge Fund. Mike again.
All right. So just kind of as background on this particular item, the town has always had a very robust culvert and bridge replacement program. As time has gone on, I believe we've replaced 9 culverts in critical areas over the last 20 years, and we're looking to do 3 more in 2024. So we've been going through the design and the planning phase. I came to town council back in, I think it was September of 2023, to move forward with the Franklin Street culvert, and ultimately, council had already approved a $1.6 million bond that it had approved, I believe, in the fiscal 22 budget for this purpose. And it incorporated Franklin Street, Sunset Ave on the north side, which is closer to Sunset Circle, kind of where Ernie St. Pierre lives, and then Sunset Ave South, which is down nearby Wyndham Road. So essentially, the first project came in from Franklin Street at much higher than what was originally estimated. We heard, limited contractors, price of materials, et cetera, et cetera. So what we ended up doing was we then held back on bidding the other 2 Sunset Ave culverts, but in hopes of finding out what we had for financing. I consulted with finance, and ultimately we proceeded with the bids, which were just opened on December 8th for the 2 Sunset Ave culverts. So the result of it was very positive. It came in at $1.43 million for the 2 culverts, and a sum total of just over $2.4 million for all 3 culverts. So we need to make up the difference of about $800,000 for the ability to move forward on the 2 Sunset Ave culverts. So we have a bidder identified, they're ready to go, and the source of funding to make up that gap would be from what we've always banked money in our bridge fund, which has roughly just under $900,000 in that fund. And where the funds were derived from that, every time we took in bridge aid from the state, or we took in additional funds that were sent to us by the state legislature, those were banked for this very purpose. So no cost to the taxpayers. You have this in your bridge fund balance, and you have ample funds to proceed with this. So essentially what you're being asked tonight to do is to endorse the fund transfer from the bridge fund in order for us to then sign contracts to proceed with the 2 Sunset Ave culverts. And what we'll basically do in that situation is we'll have 1 contractor working on Franklin Street starting in June of 2024, and then the second contractor has both of the Sunset Ave culverts. They won't work on those at the same time. They'll do them in order, probably the first one in June of 24, the second one starting probably late August or September, in an effort to be completed by late November, Thanksgiving, in that time range. So, but we're pleased that the 2 Sunset Ave culverts came in under budget, and that we have ample funds within the bridge fund to cover that, and we'd like the town council's endorsement to move forward tonight.
Questions?
Sounds good to me.
We'll let Mike continue his role tonight. 2024-004, whereas Section 9(7) of the Town Charter empowers the Town Council to transfer any unencumbered appropriation balance, whereas the town maintains a Highway Division Bridge Fund in which funds previously appropriated by the council or accepted from outside sources are deposited, and whereas the Department of Public Works is planning to replace the culverts on Sunset Ave, and whereas the project requires funding from the Bridge Fund to augment proceeds from the culvert bond to advance the project to construction, now therefore be it resolved in council that pursuant to Section 9(7) of the Town Charter, the town administrator is authorized to transfer the sum of $1,450,000 from the Highway Division Bridge Fund, which includes the use of $600,000 in unobligated bond proceeds for the replacement of the culverts at Sunset Ave. Resolution to take effect immediately upon passage.
Second.
Motion by Counsel McGuckin, second by Counsel Katsoukaris. Counsel Cherichello?
Yes.
Counsel Spencer?
Yes.
Counsel Katsoukaris?
Yes.
Counsel Flood?
Yes.
Counsel Canesi?
Yes.
Counsel McGuckin?
Yep.
Chair votes yes, 7-0. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Agenda item 24-08, resolution 2024-005 to designate a polling location for the elections conducted in 2024. Mr. Karen.
Thank you. You may recall several meetings ago, the council did approve designating Pinkerton Academy as a polling location for the presidential primary. And this resolution recommends the council designate Pinkerton again for the balance of our elections in calendar 2024. Currently, we have town meeting election and the school district meeting votes on March 12th. We believe the September primary on September 10th, which I think it's going to get resolved tomorrow with the legislature, and of course, a presidential election on November 5th. So Pinkerton has graciously accepted, offered to host these elections for us, and we'd like to be able to get them these definitive dates. Also, the school has a deliberative session coming up and needs to identify where the voting's taking place. So that's why we would recommend that the council go ahead and adopt resolution 2024-005.
Questions?
Makes sense?
Yep. Comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. So I was going to make a motion to table because I felt we should wait until after this next election to see how it turns out. But as I'm thinking about it, even if we were to add, I mean, this doesn't preclude us from adding another one if we need it, correct? It's
That's
just
correct.
designating Pinkerton
Right.
as one right now, but if we wanted a second one, we could always make another motion. Okay, so then I don't need to table that, then I'm fine.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-005 to approve the central polling location for all elections. Whereas state statutes assigns the town council the responsibility to provide polling locations, and whereas the town council under resolution 2023-80 designated Pinkerton Academy as the central polling location for the January 23rd, 2024 presidential primary, and whereas a central polling location needs to be designated for the remaining elections in 2024, and whereas Pinkerton Academy has offered to host the elections at its facilities, now therefore be it resolved in council that the town council hereby designates Pinkerton Academy as the town's central polling locations for all elections conducted in 2024. Resolution shall take effect immediately upon its passage.
Second.
Motion by Counsel McGuckin, second by Counsel Katsoukaris. On the motion, Counsel Chercello.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Counsel Katsoukaris.
Yes.
Counsel Flood.
Yes.
Counsel Ganassi.
Yes.
Counsel McGuckin.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion passes 7-0. Council comments, liaison reports, anybody?
Happy New Year.
Say Happy New Year from us to you. So we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Council, don't forget, 4:30.